Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, your mixes are just harsh or muddy? Cutting with EQ can transform your tracks and make them fit together perfectly. In this video, we're breaking down 5 common problem frequency areas and how to fix them to get clear, polished mixes. But before we get into the problem frequency areas, let's talk about why it's so important to cut with EQ. And we touched on this a little bit in our last video on the importance of EQ. Removing problem frequencies lets your tracks fit together better by creating space in the frequency spectrum for each instrument to shine. Boosting is dramatic, it's fun, and it does have its place in mixing, sure, but if you're boosting before you cut, you're likely just adding more clutter without fixing the root cause of the problem. After all, mixing is about making elements fit together. Cutting removes problem areas, allowing each instrument to shine without competing for space. Cutting with EQ is important because it not only helps clean up your mix, but it will also improve clarity without adding unnecessary gain. Once you've cleared up the problem areas, then you can use boosts to enhance the best parts of your tracks without amplifying any problems like muddiness or harshness. And since cuts reduce energy in those problematic areas, boosting afterward gives you more headroom to enhance the good stuff. Okay, now that we've covered why it's a good idea to begin the EQ process by cutting, let's break down those common problem frequencies. And let's kick it off with problem area number 1, your sub bass. This is below 80 Hertz. This range carries the weight of your track, but if it's out of balance, it can really overpower the rest of your mix. This can affect a great deal of recordings on vocals, guitar, piano, synths, drums, and this is why high-pass filters are so valuable. Simply use a high-pass filter on your non-bass instruments to cut the unnecessary rumble and prevent clutter. This helps to keep your low end clean and leaves room for your kick and bass. Now, you can still high pass these bass instruments, but be cautious to roll off only what's needed to keep the low end tight. You don't want to do too much or you'll lose the energy of your mix's low end. This video is brought to you by DistroKid. With DistroKid, you can enjoy unlimited uploads without sacrificing a cut of your earnings. They're the distributor that I recommend to get your music onto online streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and many more. Their fast and predictable upload times allow you to get your music to online streaming platforms much quicker than other distributors. Over 1 million artists choose DistroKid to upload their music, so much so that 1 in 3 songs today is now uploaded through DistroKid. They're the world's #1 music distributor. One reason is that DistroKid artists get exclusive access to perks such as synced lyrics, which is a tool that allows you to create a karaoke-style scroll for your song's lyrics on streaming platforms. You can even have their AI guess your lyrics so that you don't have to write them out. And honestly, it works pretty well. It's an excellent tool to engage your audience and elevate the listening experience of your music that's available free to DistroKid artists with the Musician Plus and label plans. You can sign up today using the link in the description to get a discount off your first year's subscription. And there's also a separate educational link for an even larger discount available to students and teachers. Next up, we have problem area 2, which is around 130 Hertz. This frequency range is another common culprit for mud, contributing to an undefined low end, especially in dense mixes. Too much buildup here can make your mix sound unfocused. So if you have a mix that's too thick or undefined, check this area. Cutting here is going to further help your kick and bass to work together instead of fighting one another. Usually in this area, you're going to be balancing bass guitar, kick drum, sometimes the lower bass notes on the piano or synths, and even some vocal content. So in addition to the high pass filter we used in the last example, apply a gentle cut around 130 Hertz on these instruments that are clashing in the low end. But be careful again not to remove too much to completely neuter the track. We want a clearer, more defined mix where the kick and bass can punch through without being overwhelmed by each other. And problem area number 3 is around 400 Hertz. This is where the boxiness lives. Too much energy here can make mixes sound cluttered and congested. A buildup in this area can be found in vocals, acoustic and electric guitars, piano, snare drums, and even the body of some big open kick drums. So try a gentle cut around 400 Hertz on instruments that sound overly boxy or congested in the low mids. Again, narrow up the cue to only remove what's necessary to clean up the instrument and avoid thinning out the sound too much.
You're a hand grenade, a cannonball, you're strong TL90. I'm afraid of all the things that you could do with me.
But cuts in this area often provide a more open mix with better clarity in the lower mids, which can help increase separation between those instruments. Problem area number 4 is around 3 kilohertz, and this is where the human ear is most sensitive. So too much 3K can make a mix sound piercing, aggressive, or just downright fatiguing, especially in cymbals, electric guitars, and vocals.
You're a hand grenade, a cannonball, you're strong TL90.
Because this is the range that our ears are most sensitive, an excess in this area stands out quite quickly as harshness. So apply a small cut around 3 kilohertz when elements are feeling a bit too harsh or grating.
I'm afraid of all the things that you could do with me.
And this can also reduce ear fatigue and make your mix easier to listen to. But of course, be careful not to overdo it or you'll lose some clarity in the process. Cutting a bit of 3K often gives you a smoother, more balanced mix that's less fatiguing to listen to, especially at higher volumes. And finally, problem area number 5, around 8 kilohertz. This is where sibilance, hiss, and excessive brightness live. This can make vocals sound harsh and piercing, or cymbals and hi-hats seem overly brittle. It can also affect acoustic instruments and some overly bright synths. Again, try a narrow EQ cut or a de-esser around 8 kilohertz to control that harshness.
You're a hand grenade, a cannonball, you're strong TL90.
And by cutting out this sibilance, you're going to get a smoother, more polished mix that retains clarity without sounding overly harsh or sharp. So far, we've talked about how EQ can be a secret weapon for carving out space in your mix and bringing out the best in your tracks. But remember, it's all about context and how these elements work together. Soloing a track can help you to identify problems, but make sure that whatever adjustment that you're making sounds good in with the rest of the mix. So on that note, let's compare our mix before and after EQ.
I thought I found gold with you. I'll never get a hold of you. You like cold to smoke. You're a hand grenade, a cannonball, you're strong TL90. I'm afraid of all the things that you could do with me. You're a hand grenade, a cannonball,
Right on. So do you hear how everything now is more defined and has its own space to live in the mix? EQ really is a powerful tool to cut the clutter and let the best parts of your music shine. So I hope you found this video helpful. Leave a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this one. In the next video, we'll cover how to identify problem frequencies by ear, so you won't want to miss that one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
When all we do is talk, 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 it's not my fault.